very good evening. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge, and this is GBS News 9 coming to you live from Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Stay tuned as we bring you the stories making headlines, but first, here are the highlights.
Everybody, whether you are in the dismissed cabinet or not, once reappointed, must be vetted by this house.
Major swap in Ruto's new cabinet. Ruto moves Duale to Environment Ministry as Soipan Tuya takes defense.
Follow the route of dialogue.
Which way ODM? Mixed feelings in ODM as members split over dialogue with government, with party listing conditions to be met before dialogue.
Airport, Jomo Kenyatta Airport is not on sale.
Jomo Kenyatta International Airport not on sale. Mudavadi refutes claims of airport sale before Senate as public outrage soars against government plan to privatize the international airport. And in sports, Football Kenya Federation sets Friday 26th this month as the date for FKF Gala for season ending 2023-2024.
To begin our bulletin, President William Ruto has made further changes to his cabinet nominees, with Soipan Tuya taking the Defense Ministry, while Aden Duale being moved to the Ministry of Environment. This is according to a communication read by the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, in today's sitting, where President William Ruto communicated the changes. Defending Ruto's move, Wetangula said, just like anyone else, the President also has the liberty to revise his decisions. Here is more on the same.
Honorable members, order. Order. Order.
The August House has today witnessed a charge debate following the swapping of previously nominated cabinet secretaries responsible for Ministry of Defense and Environment.
Order, honorable members. Junet, what is it?
According to the list of nominees from the Executive Office of the President, as read by the Speaker of National Assembly, Honorable Moses Wetangula, Soipan Tuya will be taking the Defense Ministry, while Aden Duale will be moving to the Ministry of Environment.
Honorable Roslinda Soipan Tuya, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Defense. Honorable Aden Bare Duale, EGH, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry.
They normally say in Parliament, what you communicate is what is communicated, and that is what is final. But I'm not sure whether this list is the same one, Mr. Speaker. We cannot change your records in Parliament, but we are really in doubt whether this is the real one. But we shall wait.
The charged-up members of Parliament, however, had different opinions following the move by the President, with other members questioning the legality of nominating previously dismissed cabinet secretaries.
Mr. Speaker, having said that, Mr. Speaker, I want to speak on this matter and say this. Mr. Speaker, this time and this period in Parliament, Mr. Speaker, I want to tell members, my colleagues, that vetting of this CSS is not going to be business as usual. This time, Mr. Speaker, and this time, Mr. Speaker, I repeat for the third time, if somebody is not suitable, if somebody is not capable, if somebody doesn't have the capacity, we are going to throw him out, Mr. Speaker.
Well, I would like you, Mr. Speaker, to confirm, indeed, that what you've read is actually what was communicated by the head of state.
I was asking, is it in order to vet those CSs who have been vetted before, Mr. Speaker? Lastly, Mr. Speaker, in the same house and the same parliament to vet the CSs for the second time.
Under the Constitution and the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, everybody whether they were in the dismissed cabinet or not, once reappointed, must be vetted by this House.
The changes come after President William Ruto named 11 nominees on Friday last week. The nominees have been referred to Committee on Appointments, which is expected to vet and table a report of the nominees within 28 days. The 11 nominees now await vetting by the National Assembly. After the vetting, Parliament will take the names of the cabinet nominees to the whole House, which will then approve or reject the nominees. If the National Assembly approves any or all of the nominees, the Speaker will then submit a report to the President. Ruto will then gazette the appointment of nominees to serve in the cabinet. After the gazettement, the individuals will take oath of office as cabinet secretaries, a position they will serve for the remainder of Ruto's current term. Hilary Kabila, GBS News, Nairobi.
Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, brought to light that the National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning will table a report before the House next week in regards to President William Ruto's rejection of the contentious Finance Bill 2024. Ruto submitted the memorandum to Speaker Wetangula on the 26th of June 2024, officially initiating the process of having the bill withdrawn in its entirety. Here are the details.
Communication from the chair is never debated.
The National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning is set to deliver a pivotal report to the House next week concerning President William Ruto's recent rejection of the Finance Bill 2024. Speaker Moses Wetangula made this announcement today, detailing the unfolding developments that have gripped the nation's attention.
Just concluded short recess. You recall that the recess was preceded by illegal access and damage to the precincts of Parliament by unauthorized persons at the tail end of the consideration of the Finance Bill 2024. We have ventilated on this and other pertinent matters during the members' Kamkunji this morning, and I commend members for the bipartisan discussions.
As Parliament resumed session today, after a brief recess, Speaker Wetangula addressed the gathered members of Parliament, shedding light on the ongoing process. Wetangula highlighted that the departmental committee tasked with evaluating the President's memorandum is yet to conclude its assessment. However, he assured the House that the committee is expected to present its comprehensive findings and recommendations by the 30th of July 2024.
House, the 27th June 2024, I received a memorandum from His Excellency the President referring the Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 30 of 2024 back to the House for reconsideration in accordance with the provisions of Article 115 of the Constitution. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats.
The financial ramifications stemming from the rejection of the Finance Bill 2024 is estimated to create a fiscal deficit of approximately 346 billion Kenyan shillings.
As we passed a budget of over 4 trillion shillings, we have had now to relook at what we need to do now, because the budget we passed just shy of 4 trillion. It was 4.992 trillion. We had hoped that after passing the expenditure side of the budget, then the budget will be funded. But the Kenyan people told us we need to do something, our things differently.
The National Assembly Speaker further stated that any legislator intending to propose the reinstatement of any clause of the Finance Bill 2024 must garner the support of at least 233 members of Parliament, as stipulated by Article 115 of the Constitution, which mandates that such proposals receive backing from at least 2/3 of the members of the National Assembly.
The Orange Democratic Movement Party has today declared its stance before having any dialogue with the government. The party has demanded the compensation of the families. In a press release that was issued to the media by the party leadership, the party, which is the Kenya's longest-serving opposition, has distanced itself from having the intention of joining the president's cabinet amid the countrywide demonstrations experienced across the country. Davis Karani with the details.
Amid the nationwide demonstrations experienced in the country and several allegations trending, the Orange Democratic Movement Party has distanced itself from the accusations about its strategies channeled towards joining President Ruto's administration after its party leader Raila Odinga agreed on the formation of a dialogue team to chart the way forward for the nation.
We agreed when we sat together, myself and Brother William Ruto, that we would follow the route of dialogue.
Instead of the talks, as the party leader stated, the Orange Democratic Movement Party has released a set of conditions to be attended to before any dialogue, and they include the compensation of families and victims of extrajudicial killings, immediate release of persons in custody and termination of all cases related to protest, prosecution of the police involved in shooting to kill, and the immediate sacking of the Nairobi Regional Police Commander Adamson Bungei. According to the press release released by the ODM party, it states that any member who makes themselves available to join the Kenya Kwanza cabinet will be a personal decision and not the party's stand, and as a party, they have insisted on standing with Kenyans on the ongoing struggles for change in the country. Davis Karani, GBS News, Nairobi.
Moving on, violent protests have erupted along Committee Road in Kahawa West as residents continue to voice their frustration and demand accountability from the government. The ongoing demonstrations stemming from the Occupy Jomo Kenyatta International Airport movement have escalated to a chaotic scene with reports of clashes between protesters and law enforcement. Amid the chaos, at least one person has tragically lost their life, further fueling tensions in the area. Residents are enduring various forms of suffering as they make their voices heard through the heated protest, expressing grievances and calling for action from authorities. The persistent protesters are grappling with heavy-handed police responses and escalating tensions, amplifying the sense of frustration and unrest in the community.
Hata kichiko, unaona? Wase wanatokata wote, wameshikishwa pale raunda. Hawezi pita hivi, ndio kuna mwanacheki. Itabidi tu Ruto atize tu chini. Siko ubaya.
The government wako tuna utu, sisi ni binadamu. Watu tunakuwa affected kama watu tuna makosa. Okay, wana protest ndio, lakini okay, yani afanye tu the necessary thing. Afanye tu kinachofaa. Okay, uchumi is change once, lakini ajaribu kuingia kwa mfuko wa mwananchi wa kawaida. Sasa sisi tutakokali tunahangaika. Maandamano kuendelea inaweza endelea, but ikuwe amani. Sisi watu ndio tunaumia, sisi watu usiki unapata huko shughuli zako unapata tu huko, like hasa mimi nimeumia. Siko na interest ya protest. Nilikuwa tu niko zangu naenda home.
Nimekuwa hapa, lakini Ruto Kenya anatufanyia si anatufanyia mzuri. Unataka kuniambia utalipanga shamba ya baba yako na ulipewa na uliwapatanga. Na mwenyewe alikuwa amepewa. Sasa ananiambia nilipange nini, kwani kuna kazi?
Kwangu, do you know watu kuinja watu wamechoka? Unaelewa? Si ati kuchoka juu ya serikali ama nini. Kila siku mtu anataka kutafuta kitu yenye inafaa asaidike na familia yake. It's been hard, but for me, when amesema maandamano ishe, hiyo kitu iko kwa constitution. It's a right of human being. Unaelewa? But the thing is, pia wakubwa wetu wenyewe wasikizi. Same example to my house. I'm the head of the house. Siwezi toka tu asubuhi niambie bibi yangu na watoto enough is enough, tokeni kwa hii nyumba. It doesn't bring any sense. Unaelewa? Lazima nikuwe na ile mikakati nimepanga. Na siwezi fukuza tu watu wangu kwa nyumba, tokeni mwende. No. So for me, if the president anataka hii kitu cool down, na mimi najua kila mtu amechoka pia na stories zenye anafanya. Unaelewa? Especially venye amepoint hao watu tena amerudisha job. Hiyo kitu imezungusha watu kichwa. Unaelewa? So chenye atafanya kama alikuwa ameondoa wale awaondoe wote. We need new faces. We need new faces.
We're here at Community Road. As you can see, there are a lot of chaos. Pedestrians are being dropped here. They're not able to access the road. There are a lot of chaos. There are police. There are riots. Irene Juguna, GBS News.
Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. On that note, let us take our very first break. We'll be right back with even more.
The moment we receive the word of God in our heart, from that moment, God starts working in our life. So the 4 lepers, they did not have hope. In fact, when you see them, they were so weak, and God has chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. So when you see from the Bible, Jesus, he became their hope. And Jesus can become our hope when we have no hope.
Hello friends, welcome to Kids Mind. This is the Coding Zone segment. My name is Andrew, and in this segment I will be teaching you how to code. What comes into your mind when you hear the word coding? Coding is giving simple steps to a device so that it can follow these steps and give you an output. Coding is used to make apps, websites, animations, and even the games that you play on your phone or tablet.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. You're still watching GBS News 9. Chilly weather, coupled with the fear of demonstrations by anti-government protesters, dubbed Gen Z, saw most business premises in Seya town closed today. A group of young people broke the unease silence in the town as they took to the streets blowing vuvuzelas and chanting slogans, calling on President William Ruto to heed the demands by the Gen Z. The group that later assembled at the governor's park accused the president of recycling some members of the cabinet that he had earlier sacked, saying that this amounted to a slap in the face of the Gen Z. Clinton Okoyo.
Wana majengo ya serikali, either tutaenda mochari, wengine wataenda hospitali na wengine wataenda jela. We want to tell you that we are fully backed up with the Constitution of Kenya under Article 37 that is allowing us to protest peacefully. We have protested peacefully, and if anybody is not going to listen to what we are saying, we are going to protest until that day somebody will listen to what we are saying. We want the CS that are recycled to get out because walikuwa wamefukuzwa because of incompetence. Na wanarudishwa tena kwa nini? Hatutaki hiyo. We want that when the government is telling us that kunaenda kukua na ile pesa yenye wanaenda kupea the family that lost their people. We want also the government to produce the killer cops. One of us were killed. We just tulizika Kevin last week, and today it's so bad that the same government wenye waliua Kevin are telling us that wanaenda kutuua zaidi. We want to tell you that Kenya is bigger than you, Kenya is bigger than your ego, and Kenya is bigger than your allies. We are here to revolt until one day, our cries will be heard, and we constitute of the biggest generation of this country.
My name is Sampesa. As you can see behind me, I'm accompanied by pure Gen Zs, and we are pure Gen Zs. And we are out to advocate that we are not going to sleep, or rather we are not going to stay behind and see Ruto manipulate, or rather re-again appoint other members that he had already polished from his docket and the CSS. And we are here just to say that Ruto, we don't fear you, my friend. As Siaya Gen Zs, we don't fear you, Ruto. And we are willing and able to come and out in numbers and say that Ruto must go. We have a bigger backup, which is the Orengo backup.
Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has allayed fears that the government is mulling the sale of Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, saying no such plans have been made. Mudavadi, who appeared before the Budget and Appropriation Committee, chaired by Ndindi Nyoro, to defend the supplementary budget, one estimates for the financial year 2024-2025, say the decision requires parliamentary approval. Details had emerged that the government had entered into an alleged private deal to lease the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to an Indian firm, Andani Airport Holdings Limited. This comes hot on heels as Kisii Senator Richard Onyonka had sought details of the contract between Kenya Airports Authority and the transaction advisor ALG, a Spanish firm. The senator claimed that the KAA entered an agreement with Adani Commercial, a private company, to build, operate and transfer to lease JKIA, and the process to pay a fixed concession fee as will be agreed in the concession agreement. The Prime Cabinet Secretary elaborated that Kenya Airports Authority should initiate plans to modernize the international airport to enhance passenger experience and increase traffic. According to the plans, which were unveiled in the medium-term plan launched by President William Ruto this year, the government will construct a brand new terminal at the international facility.
Oku Simon, Sergeant at Arms.
My name is Danson Mwashako, Member of Parliament Undanyi and a member of this.
Ruth Odinga, Member of Kisumu.
My name is Ndindi Nyoro, MP for Kiharu constituency and the chairman of the...
Let me discount immediately that the airport, Jomo Kenyatta Airport, is not on sale. This is a public asset. It is a strategic asset. And if it was going to be sold, you can only do it after a full public process that Parliament endorses. So anybody who is giving the impression that the airport, Jomo Kenyatta Airport, has been sold is not being factual. It is not true. What we need to appreciate is that we will need to modernize our airport. We need a new terminal. You remember there was a greenfield terminal, but it never took off. The contractual engagement had its challenges. There was litigation. It stalled. Going forward, the Kenya Airports Authority must look at its investment program very, very carefully. Make sure that everything is transparent so that during the expansion process of the second terminal, if it is under PPP arrangement, and let it be done properly, thoroughly, through the legal process, so that everybody knows what is going on. But I want to assure Kenyans that the Kenya Airports Authority is not up for sale. The other thing that I want to mention to Kenyans is that one of our
In a notable shift from previous demonstrations marked by accusations of police brutality, the ongoing anti-government protests in Kenya have seen a change in the police's approach. Today, Nairobi's Regional Police Commander Adamson Bungei engaged with protesters in the Central Business District, where the atmosphere was largely peaceful. These interactions came amidst a backdrop of escalating tensions since the protests began on the 25th of June, resulting in over 50 lives lost and widespread condemnation of police tactics. As protesters chanted, "We are peaceful," Bungei's presence and willingness to address their concerns suggested a potential turning point in police-community relations. Activists and human rights advocates have praised this new approach, raising hopes for a more constructive dialogue between law enforcement and citizens as the protests continue. Susan Nganga with the full report.
Police brutality has been the mantra in the ongoing anti-government protest. For the better days of the protest, police have been accused of brutality while dealing with the protesters and the legal society, even issuing warnings, since over 50 lives have been lost since the onset of the protest. While police brutality and heavy-handed tactics have been widely reported and condemned in previous demonstrations, today's events in Nairobi's Central District suggest a shift towards more restrained and engaged policing. Nairobi Regional Police Commander Adamson Bungei was seen interacting with protesters, accepting greetings, and attempting to address their concerns. The protesters in turn chanted "We are peaceful" to convey their stance. This engagement, though brief, contrasts with the previous accusation of excessive force and live ammunition used against demonstrators in the past. Significantly, the protest in the CBD on July 23rd were largely peaceful, with minimal use of tear gas or clashes between police and activists. This stands out in comparison to previous demonstrations, where a heavy police presence and confrontations were the norm. Activists have taken note of this change, with human rights advocate Hanifa Farsafi Hanifa expressing surprise at the peaceful atmosphere and the police's prompt in handling of disruptive individuals.
Around, I was scared because before I came here, I heard that goons have infiltrated again. I was getting scared, but then I heard when I came here, actually, I saw them, handling a thief. I was so honestly, I'm relieved. This is how it should be, honestly. Why can't it be like this? I'm shocked. I'm amazed. I'm in awe. I came here with the police and the protesters having a truce. The protesters were clapping for the police. I was like, yes, why not? This is it.
However, it remains to be seen whether this shift in police tactics will be sustained throughout the ongoing protest. Susan Nganga, GBS News.
St. Anne Sega Girls Secondary School Principal Penina Okech has urged parents to allow their children to explore and develop their talents. According to the principal, most people, especially the youth, were using their talents to generate income, hence the need to harness both academic and talent development. She was speaking during the school's inaugural Cultural Day and Talent Extravaganza that drew participants from both St. Anne's Sega Girls Secondary School and neighboring schools as well. The school deputy principal, Mrs. Mary Orlando, said the event was important as it helps the students to steam off so that they could not become exhausted and destructive. The cultural event was held through partnership with the Africa Wear Unit, whose representative Evans Omulama said they have been partnering with the schools to encourage and nurture young talents.
The school cannot take everyone for these competitions. So when we bring artists here in school, then they also have an opportunity to showcase their talent, to also enjoy. This is also the end of term. We are starting our exams. The Form 4s are already doing their exams. So it's a way for the students to unwind. And for me, as an artist, because I'm an artist, I feel that this is a very important forum for children. We should always have this so that children can unwind, so that tomorrow when we start the week, they are freshened, they go to class with more gusto, and therefore the means that we desire we may eventually achieve. Well, I'm new in this school. I just came in January, so this is my first activity, and I'm very happy that it has gone down well. I plan to have more of such activities. The next thing I'm planning is fun sports, so that the students can also go out and exercise and we engage in activities. In this fun sports, we are planning to even embrace the outer community, so that we have our community of Sega, the parish community all coming together and having fun sport. I am first of all a product of talent. I have been in drama festivals, I am in music festivals.
Thanks for joining this live broadcast. We have a lot lined up for you in a new segment tonight. But first, let us take a quick commercial break.
Here is where we keep it real. We talk about everything that affects women out here.
My community, like, we raise girls to be wives and something. So when it comes to kufanya like music career kukua nini, it's kind of difficult, but I decided to fight that. Like, mi pia niko na goals. I wanted one day nikuwe kwa TV, I wanted one day nifanye kwa radio.
The community that you came from, they believe that as a young girl you need to get married, you need to take good care of your babies and your husband, but now you came out as a musician and you want to do your own things. How about your parents? Are they supporting you?
Mom went nikiwa mdogo sana, nikiwa class 4. My mom went na akatuacha na mzae. So I had no one to talk to. So the feelings and everything, nikikuwa na stress, I used to write. So hapo ndo mimi nilianza kuandika song. I guess my first song niliandika nikiwa class 4.
I'm so happy about you because I don't know what triggered you. Ikamusha your alarm like you need to do this and you are raised in that community.
If you don't take care of yourself, you won't take care of them. Actually, mtu ndo alinipea one thing and it change
everything.
In the Bible, it says no flesh shall be justified in his sight by the deeds of the law. Today, many people on Sunday, there are so many people who go to church out of formality and to keep these laws. Why did God send Jesus? Because all of the curse that we were supposed to receive, for Jesus to receive it in our stead. Truly to be saved, is it to do good things or to keep the 10 Commandments? No, it is so far from it. We are people who have already disobeyed it. God did not give the 10 Commandments so that you can be blessed and keep all of them.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the broadcast, and now to matters international news. Tensions are rising in the East Africa as anti-government protests gain momentum, inspired by recent demonstrations in Kenya. In Nairobi, protesters geared up for a major march at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, while across the border in Uganda, youth are defying warnings from President Yoweri Museveni as they prepare to protest against corruption at Parliament. Here are the details.
In Nairobi, preparations are underway for what's being called #OccupyGKA, following previous protests dubbed #OccupyParliament and Occupy CBD. Organized largely through social media, these demonstrations echo calls for accountability and transparency in government. However, the Kenyan authorities have cautioned demonstrators against breaching legal boundaries, citing the Kenya Civil Aviation Act, which prohibits trespassing in protected areas like airports.
The service reiterates that protected areas are out of bounds. To unauthorized persons as indicated in the Protected Areas Act, Cap 204, laws of Kenya. For the avoidance of doubt, protected areas listed under the Protected Areas Order, Legal Notice number 9 of 2011, second schedule, includes, among others, the LPG plants, the bitumen plants, and the petroleum depots situated at the Embakasi Aviation Depot, that is JKIA. Further, all unauthorized persons are hereby warned not to trespass protected areas.
Meanwhile, in Uganda, in a televised address, President Museveni strongly cautioned youths against proceeding with their planned anti-corruption march to parliament. He warned that such actions could destabilize the country, urging them to reconsider their plans and that they are playing with fire.
You are getting cheap food. Other people in the other parts of the world are starving. They are crying for hunger. And you here, you want to disturb us. You are playing with fire.
Both countries are witnessing a surge in civic engagement, with activists leveraging social media to mobilize and amplify their demands for governmental accountability. As tensions escalate, all eyes are on how these protests will unfold and whether they will spark meaningful change in East African politics. Irene Jegona, GBS TV.
Nigeria's Nagote refinery is actively pursuing crude oil supplies from Libya and Angola to support its operations. The refinery, which has a capacity of 650,000 barrels per day, was built by Africa's wealthiest man, Aliko Nagote, and is located on the borders of Lagos. It aims to reduce Nigeria's reliance on imported fuels due to the country's insufficient refining capacity. Here is more on the same.
Since Dangote began operations in January, it has been unable to get adequate crude supplies in Nigeria, which, although Africa's biggest oil producer, is struggling with debt, pipeline vandalism and low investment. Dangote has restored to importing crude from as far as Brazil and the United States and is now looking to other African countries to source for products. He declined to give details about the talks, but said international traders and oil companies were among the biggest buyers of Dangote's gas oil, much of which was being exported. Traders and shipping data have shown that Dangote is increasing gas oil export to West Africa, taking market share from the European refiners. Edwin said Dangote's oil trading arm was operational with staff in London and Lagos to help manage supplies and sell products. Nigeria's upstream has clashed with Dangote, saying the sulfur content in its gas oil was above the required limit of 200 parts per million. Aliko Dangote has denied that, saying the sulfur level was higher when the production started, but had fallen to 88 ppm and would sink to 10 ppm early August as output rises. Peris Kego, GBS News.
Makala prison in the Democratic Republic of Congo has come under intense scrutiny following revelations of severe overcrowding and dreadful living conditions affecting thousands of inmates. Originally designed to house 1,500 individuals, the facility now holds over 15,000 prisoners, predominantly in a pre-trial detention, according to a critical report by the Bill Clinton Foundation for the Peace released in December 2023. Here is the full report.
The situation gained global attention after journalist Stanis Bujakera, who had been detained in Makala previously, posted distressing videos on social media. In these videos, Bujakera documented the extreme overcrowding and described Makala as a place where people are dying alive, depicting scenes of cramped cells and visibly strained resources. In response to the outcry sparked by Bujakera's footage, Justice Minister Constant Mutamba acknowledged the overcrowding issue but downplayed its severity. He dismissed Bujakera's videos as showing old footage and insisted that the government is actively working to alleviate the overcrowding in all Congolese prisons. Mutamba asserted that the prisoners' basic needs for food and medical care are adequately provided for, contrary to the harrowing conditions depicted by Bujakera. Despite the government's assurances, international human rights organizations have condemned the conditions in Makala as well as other Congolese prisons, calling for urgent reforms to uphold basic human rights standards. Advocates argue that overcrowding not only intensifies health risks but also undermines the presumption of innocence and due process for detainees awaiting trial. Thomas Musyoki, GBS News, Nairobi.
At least 26 villagers were killed in a violent attack on Sunday evening in Dembo, a village located in Mofi region of central Mali, which has been plagued by insurgency. The attack occurred while residents were working in the fields, according to local officials, including the mayor of Bankas, Moale Gindo. He expressed concerns over the deteriorating security situation in the area, noting that soldiers arrived only after the attack had taken place. This incident is part of a broader pattern of escalating violence in Mali, where jihadist groups linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State have intensified their activities since the onset of a violent insurgency following a 2012 Tuareg rebellion. Here are the details.
Guido stated soldiers deployed to the area only reached the village after the attack, deploring worsening insecurity in the West African country. The insurgency in the Sahel region, south of the Sahara, has gained momentum since it took root in Mali on the back of a 2012 Tuareg rebellion. Despite costly military pushbacks, jihadists have spread into neighboring Burkina Faso and Niger, and more recently into the north coastal countries such as Togo, Ghana, and Ivory Coast. Thousands of people have been killed and millions more displaced. Around 40 people died in a similar attack on a village in Bankas at the start of July and over 20 in another attack at the end of May. Authorities' failure to protect civilians contributed to 2 coups in Mali, 2 in Burkina Faso, and 1 in Niger since 2020. Juntas have since turned their backs to traditional Western allies and sought Russian support for fighting the groups. Peris Kego, GBS News.
U.S.-Russian journalist Alsu Komasheva was yesterday sentenced to 6.5 years in prison by a Russian court after a secret trial where she was accused of spreading false information about the military. This conviction follows the recent sentencing of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gashovic for espionage. The U.S. government demanded Kumasheva's release amidst growing concerns over journalist detention in the Russian nation. Here is the full report.
Masheva, a U.S.-Russian journalist, has been sentenced to 6.5 years in prison by a Russian court after a secret trial where she was accused of spreading false information about the military. This conviction comes just days after Wall Street Journal reporter Ivan Gashkovich was sentenced to 16 years for espionage, a case the U.S. has condemned as politically motivated. U.S. government spokesperson Matthew Miller has demanded Kumasheva's immediate release, emphasizing that her detention is part of a troubling recent trend as Moscow has now detained over 22 journalists, more than half of whom are foreign nationals.
We remain focused on the case of Alsu Kurmasheva. She's a dedicated journalist who is being targeted by Russian authorities for her uncompromising commitment to speaking the truth and her principled...
The situation raises serious concerns about press freedom and the treatment of journalists in Russia, with calls for international action growing louder. Alex Mwangi, GBS News.
Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. That international news brings us to our sports news. Let's get sporty. The 2023-2024 season Football Kenya Federation Awards Gala is set to take center stage on Friday, the 26th of July at Safari Park Hotel. This event will give recognition to the most outstanding stakeholders in Kenyan football, including players, the match officials, partners and fans from both the just concluded FKF Premier League and the Women's Premier League. Honoring excellence across the multiple categories, the FKF Gala aims to recognize and reward excellence across a variety of categories. The categories for this year's awards include, among the categories to be feted, are 1. Player of the Year, that is celebrating the most exceptional player whose performance, skill and contributions towards his or her team have stood out throughout the season. Second, the Golden Glove, honoring the best goalkeeper in the league. Third, the Golden Boot, recognizing the top goal scorer whose knack for finding the back of the net has led the team to victory. Fourth, the Coach of the Year, awarding the coach whose leadership, strategy and inspiration have driven their team to exceptional heights. Fifth, Referee of the Year, celebrating the match official whose integrity, fairness and decision-making have upheld the spirit of the game. Sixth, the Fair Play Award, acknowledging the team or individual that has shown exemplary sportsmanship, respect and fair play and on and off the field. The President's Award, a special recognition for outstanding contributions to football, awarded at the discretion of the FKF President Nick Mwendwa. Eighth, Social Media Manager of the Year, highlighting the creativity and the impact of the individual or team behind the most engaging or innovative social media presence in promoting their team's brand and football in the country. This gala is said to be a testament to the hard work, passion and dedication that drive the sports forward, fostering a spirit of unity and excellence. Nairobi City Thunder struck KPA to clinch the maiden KBF Premier League men's title. The victory ended their 37-year wait for a championship since the league's inception. Thunder won the league unbeaten. Meanwhile, Equity Hawks defeated Kenya National Women's Basketball League defending champions KPA 76-74 in Game 5 to complete a hard-fought 3-2 victory in the best-of-5 series and be crowned the league champions. Here are the details.
Nairobi City Thunder secured their first ever championship title with a decisive 38-point victory over Kenya Ports Authority in the 2024 KBF Premier League Finals. Nairobi City Thunder took control early, leading by 17 points at halftime, and extended their advantage to 28 points by the third quarter. The fourth quarter saw them widen the gap further, sealing the game with a final scoreline that reflected their superiority. Nairobi City Thunder's historic victory marks the pinnacle of their long journey and also sets a new standard for excellence in the KBF Premier League. The Nairobi-based club was taken over by Twende Sports, who turned things around at the club with an aim of making it a professional club. In the women's basketball, Equity Hawks defeated Kenya National Women's Basketball League defending champions, Kenya Ports Authority, 76-74 in Game 5 to complete a hard-fought 3-2 victory in best-of-5 series and be crowned league champions. Equity Hawks, having dominated Game 1 and Game 2 on their court in Nairobi, faced a resilient KPA squad that had fought back to claim victories in Games 3 and 4 in their backyard in Makande, Mombasa. The final game began with Equity Hawks setting the pace early on, taking a 21-16 lead in the first quarter. KPA responded fiercely in the second quarter with a narrow 20-19 lead, heading into halftime lagging behind 41-35. Equity Hawks continued to exert pressure in the third quarter and managed a 16-12 lead, but the fourth quarter saw a dramatic turn of events as KPA launched a spirited comeback, outscoring Equity Hawks 26-20. Hawks maintained their composure in the closing moments of additional time, holding on to secure the narrow 76-74 final score to claim the long-awaited title. Both teams will represent Kenya at the AfroBasket Zone 5 League. Reporting for GBS TV, I am John Kinyanjui.
That sports news brings us to the end of our news segment tonight. Many thanks for joining the broadcast. And as always, here at GBS News 9, we make your news our business. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Good night.